I felt an uneasy chill as I entered the attic, a space I had long avoided. It was the last place I wanted to be alone, but curiosity got the best of me. My footsteps echoed in the dimly lit room, and the air was thick with the scent of old wood and dust. Boxes covered in cobwebs stood like silent sentinels, guarding secrets of the past. My grandmother's attic held a lifetime of memories, and I was determined to uncover them. Amongst the clutter, I found a dusty old trunk in the corner. With trembling hands, I pried it open, revealing a collection of childhood mementos and forgotten relics. The object that caught my attention was a porcelain doll, her wide, glassy eyes staring up at me. Her dress was tattered, and her once blonde hair now hung in matted strands. I reached out to pick her up, intrigued by the eerie beauty of her porcelain features. As I cradled the doll in my hands, I felt a strange sensation, a cold shiver running down my spine. I brushed it off as my imagination running wild, a mere consequence of being alone in the attic. Little did I know that I had just invited terror into my life. That night, the doll sat on my nightstand, watching over me as I slept. I had vivid, unsettling dreams of a child's laughter echoing through the darkness and a faint, distant lullaby. I awoke in a cold sweat, the eerie sensation from the attic returning. The doll's eyes seemed to follow me, even though they should have been lifeless. Over the following days, my unease grew. I would often catch glimpses of the doll in different places around the house. I would leave her in the living room, only to find her perched on my bed when I returned. I convinced myself that my imagination was playing tricks on me and that I was merely forgetful. One evening, I heard soft, melodic singing coming from the attic. My heart raced as I climbed the creaky stairs. When I pushed open the attic door, the voice abruptly stopped, and the room was shrouded in darkness. The only source of light was the pale glow of the moon, illuminating the doll's porcelain face. She was holding a tiny, dusty music box in her porcelain hands. As I approached the doll, the music box began to play a hauntingly familiar tune. The notes reverberated in the silence, and I felt an overwhelming sense of dread. Suddenly, the doll's glassy eyes blinked, and she turned her head to face me, her porcelain lips curling into a malevolent smile. I stumbled backward, fear taking hold of me, but I couldn't tear my eyes away from the doll's now alive expression. She spoke, her voice a haunting whisper. "You've awakened me, and now I must play." Her tiny porcelain fingers danced across the music box, filling the attic with an eerie melody that seemed to come from another world. I fled from the attic, slamming the door shut behind me, but the music continued to echo through the house, seeping into every corner. I tried to convince myself that it was just a vivid nightmare, but the doll's presence persisted. Her malevolent smile haunted my every thought. As the days passed, I could no longer deny the doll's sinister influence. She began appearing at the foot of my bed each night, her song lulling me into a restless sleep. Her presence grew stronger, and I could feel her eyes boring into my soul, demanding something I couldn't understand. Desperation pushed me to research the doll's origins. I learned that she was crafted by a renowned doll maker who had imbued her with a piece of his own soul to make her perfect. But this perfection came at a price, as the doll's soul craved the same for herself, seeking to steal the essence of the living to become truly alive. Terrified, I realized that the only way to rid myself of the doll's malevolence was to return her to her origins. The doll maker had long since passed away, but I found his grave in an old, overgrown cemetery. With trembling hands, I placed the doll on the grave and recited the incantation I had discovered. The moment I finished, the doll let out a haunting cry, and her porcelain features contorted in pain. A chilling wind blew through the cemetery, and the doll began to crumble to pieces. As the last shard of porcelain disintegrated, the sinister presence that had haunted me for so long finally faded. But as I walked away from the doll maker's grave, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had unleashed something even more sinister than the doll. I feared that my quest to rid myself of the porcelain terror had only scratched the surface of a darker and deeper horror lurking in the shadows, waiting to emerge.